When Civilization 7 released earlier this year on the Switch, it was a disappointing release. Suffering from many issues, many of them were from the pretty woeful performance that hampered gameplay. There was also issue with the gameplay and the changes that were issues on all consoles, but a little over 4 months after the launch, the Switch 2 version is here, but was it worth the wait and the upgrade? Let's find out. Let's get the elephant out the room first. The performance at launch on the Switch 1 was pretty dreadful, with lengthy load time, chugging performance, and just an overall lack of polish that did hamper enjoyment. But thankfully, the Switch 2 version is a huge improvement, with load times dramatically improved. The Switch 1 version would take about 2 to 3 minutes, but this version takes way less. Definitely feels way under a minute, which is a really huge improvement and very welcome. Frame rate is also drastically improved. The Switch 1 version was solid at the start of the game, but as soon as your civilization gets bigger, it tanks and pauses and makes taking a turn a huge big issue. And here the frame rate is silky smooth, 60 FPS, and it's glorious to play. Taking turns is an ease with no issues whatsoever. It's truly a night and day difference. It's huge. Graphically, the game has also seen a really nice boost in fidelity, with the resolution jumped up to 1080p at 60 FPS or 4K at 30 while stock. The graphics definitely seem more in line with the PS5 version, with the map and the characters being way more detailed, and you can also zoom in a little bit more so on the Switch 2, meaning you can see your civs in greater detail. Also, the larger screen of the Switch 2 lends for a much more comfortable experience, as the UI was cluttered and hard to navigate on the Switch 1. The game also supports bigger maps as well, comparable with the PS5 version. Unfortunately, the gigantic maps aren't available yet on any consoles, so hopefully they won't be too far behind in the future. Other inclusions are game chat for those who want to chat with their friends whilst they play other games, or if you're playing multiplayer together. The game also supports up to 8 players in multiplayer in the modern age, which is a nice upgrade for those who like that stuff, though I never really play Civ for the multiplayer. But one of the biggest inclusions is the use of the Joy-Con 2 mouse controls, and this sounded brilliant on paper, and I was a bit skeptical about it, but blow me down, you know what, it's brilliant. It feels like a perfect match for Civilization. Controlling the game with the touchscreen was cool on the Switch 1, but mouse controls is where it's at. Very precise and perfect with the UI. It feels like a PC quality experience, but on a handheld, and well worth trying out. It is really hard to go back to button layouts on Civ after using the mouse controls. The game has also seen several improvements since launch, and the game certainly did launch in what felt like an early access state, and in my opinion it should have never been released. It should have been delayed. Bugs, crashes, and the UI does feel much more improved here. There does feel like there's a big improvement in the gameplay, and I honestly can't wait to delve in and play more of Civ 7 because I'm having a really good time. My only real issue here is the retail release of this. This physical edition of the Switch 2 version of Civilization 7 is just a code in a box, and I think that's absolutely disgusting. I had my issues with the keycard stuff, but I did hope that the keycard would stop this code in the box nonsense, and it's even more disappointing as the Switch 1 version actually had a proper physical edition. It's also pretty crappy that this upgrade is a paid upgrade at £10 or $15. It's a pretty reasonably priced upgrade, but as the game launched in such a botched state on Switch 1, that wasn't really acceptable. It would have been nice if they did a No Man's Sky and gave us the Switch 2 upgrade for free for adopters of the Switch 1 edition, but it's 2K and you know they love money, so it's no surprise at all. My recommendations for people who want to get Civ 7 on the Switch 2 is to buy the Switch 1 edition as cheap, both physically or digitally. They're very cheap now. The digital one's about 35 quid. I've seen the physical one going for about 20 to 25 quid, and that's way cheaper than the $60 or $60 that they're charging for the Switch 2 edition digitally, and also in that code in the box thing. So if you pick it up for about £25 to £30 or your regional equivalent, then you just pay for the upgrade, and it's nearly half the price of what the Switch 2 edition is on its own. Conclusion time now, and Civilization 7 on the Switch 2 is what the game should have been at launch, with a much better gameplay experience that has helped with the updates to the game post-launch, and also the technical and cool new additions that is brought in with the Switch 2 version. The game feels like a much more complete package, and if you're a fan of the series, I definitely recommend getting it, especially with these cool mouse controls. They're revolutionary. So with that, I'm going to give Civ 7 on the Switch 2 8 out of 10 with the title of great. So thank you ever so much for taking the time watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be totally awesome. And as always, till next time, bye.